Hey, everybody, and welcome to this episode 265 of the Thought Team Navigating Now virtual roundtable series. I'm Anthony Ewing, Chief Brand Officer, co-founder here at Thought Team, and I am with a perennial Navigating Now guest, also a really good friend and a brother, Nosa Eguae. Nosa is a leader amongst leaders. He's a sales executive. He's an entrepreneur. He runs a successful institute called Prolific, which we'll touch on. And more than anything, Nosa is just out in the community. I mean, he is surrounded by leaders every day. And, you know, the goal of Navigating Now is to bring leadership topics to the forefront, those that matter most. And we're going to be talking about a lot of those today. Nosa, say hello.
Hey, I'm super excited to be here, Anthony. I think I remember when this was in a glass room, you know, in a co-working space.
We work,
and,
yep.
You know, I try to start most things off with gratitude, and for me, that's really been moving the needle lately. So just to share that, you know, we are now in the Thought Team HQ, and just to see what you and Norm and the team and the leadership team has built over the years, man, through intentionality, through, you know, just this embrace for gathering and community and leadership, to be a part of it now and to be a part of it then was a blessing, but to be a part of it now is really cool. And I've seen you grow through it all. So I just, I thank you.
Received. What a way to start the episode. I'll maybe reciprocate a little bit. It is kind of cool to reflect. You've been along the journey, you know, for the past, 5 or 6 years. You were the one that was showing up, you know, when everything was shut down. And I'd say this, you know, I always tell people that, you know, I started Thought Team as an opportunity to do a lot of the things that I couldn't do in kind of my previous roles, particularly working for larger organizations, kind of navigating red tape, et cetera. One of those things is that I really wanted to be able to work amongst and with friends. You know, as an intrapreneur working for larger organizations, I had to find that community and that fellowship outside of work. And what I love about what we've built here at Thought Team is, you know, you have been a partner, and we have been, you know, leading groups over the last few years, but more than anything, you've been a friend. You've changed my life over the last few years. You've brought a lot of perspective, and you've gotten me closer to my faith in some really unique ways. And for that, it makes sitting down here that much special. So thank you.
Well, you know, I love the gratitude, and, you know, there's no better way to come out of the gates than leaning into that, right? Like, you know, sometimes in football we would talk about, you know, getting into a stance, right? And it's third down, you know, you want to rush the passer, and what's the first thing you got to do? You got to take your first step. And I think the first step is always gratitude.
The over under on Nosa bringing a football analogy in was 2 minutes.
You know what? I will say this right now. There may be some more. I dedicated my life to it, so I got to speak to it. I haven't won a championship doing anything other than playing sport. So I speak to it in terms of leadership, because it was every day. You know, leadership within self, but also leadership within community and team. I
love that. So we started with a little bit of gratitude. The title of today's episode is Leadership Without a Script. And Nosa, I know that you've been at the forefront of kind of helping shape and define the future of work. I feel like every leader is talking about, you know, how our work spaces and our teams are evolving. It almost feels like we're kind of under attack, or we're at siege with technology and how quickly things are escalating. And, you know, y'all can go and read the HBRs on how that's all going to play out. What I want to talk to you about today is, like, you are one of those leaders that every day probably touches base with at least 10 other leaders from totally different corners of the world. Like, you're just that immersed. And so what are some of the things that you're hearing out there that leaders are focused on or challenged with today?
I think, you know, I'll probably start with just, you know, the embrace, right? And the embrace of the times. You know, AI has given us the opportunity to do so much more, but it's also given us you know, the burden of dealing with so much of the AI muck, is what I like to call it, right? You know, we're inundated with robocalls. I'm getting 5 a day. You know, we're you know, and you know, we're inundated with, you know, emails. You know, I'm getting 20 a day, right? And I'm not, you know, I don't have a $1 billion P&L, but some do. right?
Yeah, right.
You know, I'm you know, empathizing and leading with empathy because so many people, you know, are starting to get so much junk that I believe that the way to cut through, you know, and I learned this, you know, in the halls of the OR, you know, working with surgeons, you know, with a 30-second sales pitch, you know, before they go in and they're doing the surgery to save someone's life. I got to get to the point.
Yeah.
And what I'm realizing is that we're losing time because we're more distracted than ever. And if you're gonna fill it with value. And I think the first step, of course, like I just said, is filling it with gratitude.
Yeah.
You know, but what else is there? And I think that it's intentionality. I think that it's authenticity, and really just, you know, deepening the human connection while everything is trying to go artificial.
Yeah.
And there's power in that.
I love that. This idea of getting to the point, like the premium on our ability to get to the point, I think is so high these days in a world where, you know, AI has given us access to the world's information on a single click. I was just joking with a friend the other day that as we use ChatGPT and Claude more and more, we're finding ourselves in the middle of organic conversations, almost like auditing what we're saying as if we were running it through, like, what would ChatGPT say here? Or, man, I would love to just pause this conversation and walk away and get, you know, the world's consensus on how I'm approaching this conversation. And it's just a stark reminder that at the end of the day, like, we have to continue to develop, even more so now, our natural ability to get to the point and get a message across without it running through large language models.
Wow, that's so good, man. And for me, what's showing up is it's in my quiet time. It's in the moments when, you know, I journal, you know, the opportunity to get conscious thought out, right? And allowing it to just be, you know, and not needing it to be this perfect scripted, you know, my favorite, you know, prompt for ChatGPT is, hey, can you fix this and grammatical errors and make this better? But, you know, what I'm embracing now is like the opportunity to, you know, have a period and then start a sentence with and, right? Like, yeah, it's not perfect, but it's me. Right? It's authentically who I am. Yeah. And what I'm starting to realize is that as we continue to go to a future of artificial intelligence, that we can choose powerfully to lean in to authentic intentionality. Yeah. And it's in that version of AI that I feel like it's gonna show up in spades for leaders and for teams and you know, eventually for businesses.
I love that. You just inspired a new kind of like mental model. I'm all for these like short mental models that we can use 100%. To make sure that technology is not overtaking us. So the one that we've been using here at Thought Team a lot, it's very simple. It's human, computer, human. So anytime we're going to be using technology, particularly AI, we must precede it with a bit of our own 100%, thought. 100%. We then augment that with the tools that are crazy available to us today. And then we make sure that we refine it with that human touch, or making sure that it's our actual words and our emotions coming through. Yeah, that's good. The interesting thing that you just brought up is AI, like when we're using ChatGPT, there is always an end to what it spits out. There's never an and.
Wow. Yeah. That's
like
good.
There will always be, you will hit enter and there will always be an end to the script that it spits out. But as humans, like, we have that ability at the end of a thought or when we're engaging a conversation to just kind of let it roll and add a little bit more based on the context and what we're talking about. That's another interesting mental model. Now,
that's good.
So Baxter, Nosa, you are a sales executive at Baxter. You know, you talked about the interactions that you're having with your customers and how it's, you know, we've got to make sure that we bring human centricity to the way that we interact with our customers. You're also focused on building community within your institute, Prolific Institute. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. I think, you know, they cross paths and they connect. Yeah. Right. I'm super passionate about access to care. You know, and on a daily basis, I get a chance to interact with cardiovascular surgeons, spine surgeons that are doing life-changing procedures and ensuring that their patients have access to the best in class and ensuring that, I'm leading from a place of empathy to understand the struggles and the challenges that they face on a daily basis is important to me. But, I also get a chance to lead and co-lead our health equity work and the work that we do as it pertains to access to care. Yeah. And that means so much to me. And shout outs to, my co-lead, Jessica Tam, but for us, in terms of access to care, there are some real unfortunate aspects of, care that continue to persist, not in the world, in Chicago, right? In the city that we have our HQ, and just continuing to educate, continuing to see how we can create sustainable models around ensuring that the people that need life-saving and sustaining products get it, right? And I think that ties into the work that I get a chance to lead with Prolific, because when we look at social determinants of health, when we look at the data, it always comes back to, regardless if it's your socioeconomic, regardless if it's zip codes, at the end of the day, when people have access to high-paying jobs, when people have access to development and upskilling to be able to take advantage of those career paths, the across the board, you're seeing that they have higher
success rates
in terms of across the board of social determinants of health. They are living longer, they are more healthy. And it comes down to being a net positive in your community. When you have access to a good job, you get the opportunity to be a net positive in your community and not a net negative. Yeah. So for me, the work that we lead at Prolific is still healthcare. Yeah. Right. It's still providing access. Yeah. And it's providing access to, former athletes that, quite frankly, have an incredible skill set in sport. And what does that look like when we want to say, who are you now going to be? Right. And what are we going to do in terms of development and upskilling to ensure that you have not only the access to opportunity, but the skills when you get there.
Yeah, I love that. I think the two things: the true mark of an entrepreneur. The definition of entrepreneur is that you've kind of have your hands and toes involved in a lot of different things. And I think the true mark of an entrepreneur is one that is involved in a lot of things, but can make sure that they're always connected. And I've always seen you do such a great job of connecting each aspect of your practitionership, each part of your vocation to this idea of community and lifting people up through community. I think the other thing that I'll note too, at Thought Team, we do a lot of work in sales enablement, working with sales teams and sales organizations to upskill, to develop higher levels of leadership and leadership effectiveness. And we have a lot of clients in the pharmaceutical space, Baxter being one of them as well too. I always say the mark of a really good sales executive is one who is not selling from features and benefits, but is selling from a level of much higher outcomes,
no question,
even greater than or a higher level than the outcomes that a specific product can offer. And you have such a good ability to bring people into why you would want to use this specific product in this specific hospital setting. And it's not necessarily about the features and benefits. I mean, any old sales rep can do that.
100%.
Right.
That's good.
So maybe let's tap into that. And again, we're kind of focused on some of these evergreen leadership principles that we've got to make sure are cutting through a lot of the AI noise. How about kind of like bringing context in and as a leader, pulling people into the bigger picture in a world where people might be focused on very specific aspects of their business, or jobs might be getting a lot more specific and tactical. How do we as leaders continue to, inspire our teams to see up and out and not just what's right in front of them?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think it starts, we got first acknowledging the times, right? Like, it's tough, it's challenging, right? And I think one of the things I learned in sport, another analogy coming, is that, I had a teammate named Philip Lutzenkirchen that used to say, you're either getting better or you're getting bitter. And
is this an Auburn teammate?
Yeah, Auburn teammate. I sit on the board of the foundation in his honor. He's passed away since. And tell everybody, just please wear a seatbelt. The foundation does incredible work around ensuring that people have safe driving cues and ending distracted and impaired driving. But to get back on the topic, it was this embrace of gratitude, right?
Yeah.
The first step is always going to be like, you got to do the work.
Yeah.
Right. And yes, it's challenging. With that said, you don't have to, you get to. Hard stop. You don't have to, you get to. So if we can't meet there, we probably won't meet anywhere because there's so much ambiguity. There's so much just heaviness out in the marketplace right now because a lot of this stuff is unknown. We don't know and we don't like change. But we can all agree upon that we don't have to, we get to. And in that embrace of gratitude, it allows us to do the work in a better light. And there's a flow. There's a connection with the source that I feel like when you embrace gratitude, you do your work better, period.
Yeah, I love that. Let's maybe make that a little bit more tactical, because my next question to you would be like, how are your one-on-ones feeling different today than they ever have before? And I'm curious, like, how might you bring in a little bit of gratitude in an everyday kind of like one-on-one discussion you're having with a teammate or a direct report?
Yeah, it's dope, right? We just did it right when we started this session.
Yeah, we would have taken another 20 minutes.
We were able to reflect on how far you've come. Right? So right now we're facing big challenges. That's not taking away from the challenge. It's just saying that we got through the last challenge. Right. Like we were in that space. Now we're in a bigger space. Right. Does the bigger space, make you absent of difficulty? No. But we can embrace the difficulty now because we embraced it then and we got through it. Right. So I think tactically in one-on-ones, what I'm trying to present to my friends, what I'm trying to present to my business contacts and my clients and my surgeons and all the people that I get a chance to interact with on a daily basis. I try to make sure that they understand that there's gratitude that we can carry right now into whatever we're fighting next. Right. And one of my favorite verses in the Bible, it talks about David and Goliath. We all know the story. He starts it off. He says, I killed the lion and the bear, and I'm going to go take on him too. Right. Yeah. Sometimes we got to go back and reflect on the goodness of what we've done well in order for us to continue to do well.
That is so good. And again, I feel like that grounding of our teammates, our direct reports, I mean, even our leaders within our organization, that grounding and gratitude is so needed in a world where things are moving so quickly that I do think we've lost a sense of just pausing, acknowledging all of the progress that's being made and clearing the way for like some bigger thinking moving forward. Who's a king of that is my co-founder, Norm.
Yeah, no question.
He, everybody should have a Norm in their organization. Somebody who on a normal leadership meeting, we just had one this morning. It was a near 3-hour leadership meeting. And we had a stacked agenda. I mean, it was stacked and really big, really important stuff. And it would have been so easy for us at 8:30 to go immediately to task, or even to, open up with an icebreaker about your weekend or whatnot. And what Norm does so well, and he actually tactically does it within spreadsheets, which is, this is crazy how he does this. That's good. But he will put a blank spreadsheet up on the screen and it'll have like 3 collapsible segments. You can't see what they are until he hits the plus button and they drop down. And typically each of the 3 collapsible segments is some sort of really great reflection on our business from the last quarter, our business from the last few years, and our business from the last 10 years.
Come on.
And it's funny because we kind of joke that like he's the context king, like that, like he just lives for building that context. But when I step back, it's one of the most valuable aspects to our leadership meetings, and it takes time. Today it took the first 7 minutes of the meeting. It's so worth it. That context and that grounding is so worth it.
Yeah, context is everything, right? And I think that we are mistaken when we try to stay at the surface of it, right? Because it's oftentimes in the details that tell the story. And when we allow ourselves to go there, we can usually grab something that we did well and we can take it with us.
I love that.
And sometimes, man, like the truth is that we're getting our butts kicked. Right. But in that, I had an opportunity. I don't do this a lot. I promise I don't do this a lot. But sometimes I like to remind myself of greatness. So I'll put on an Iron Bowl, from 2010 or 2013 when I was at Auburn University. And I got a chance to put on the 2010 Iron Bowl. And in the 2010 Iron Bowl, we got a little time to tell a story.
Of course.
I went to Auburn University, and there's another team in the state that I won't mention. But that other team in the state, they had a Heisman Trophy winner. They had probably one of the best wide receivers of our generation. They had a bevy of talent, and they went up 24-0. And I'll never forget this. This is giving me chills. The day before was Thanksgiving, and on Thanksgiving, Coach Gene Chizik, our head coach, had an annual where he would invite guys up to say every position group to say what they were thankful for. We ran out of time, so we didn't get a chance to do it as a defensive line. On our defensive line, we had the best defensive lineman to play in the SEC, I think, over the past 10 years, 15 years. Man, I think it's been longer than that. Nick Fairley.
No one's counting.
And Nick won the Outland Trophy that year, but we get to the sidelines. Antoine Carter, our defensive end, this is an amazing play where the running back, Mark Ingram, was running down the sideline to score a touchdown. He chases him 50 yards, hits the ball, and the ball inches away from the sideline, rolls out of the end zone. It's a touchback. We get to the sideline, and Nick says, "Fellas, we didn't get a chance to say what we were grateful for." In the middle
in that moment,
24-7, we all, man by man, say what we were thankful for.
No, in the middle of the game
moment.
Come on.
And we proceed with Cam Newton as our quarterback to come back and win that game 28-27. My teammate Philip Lessenkirk had the winning touchdown.
That happened on the sidelines.
Right before.
In front of how many thousand people?
In front of 102,000.
Come on.
Very sad fans.
Come on.
Right? There's nothing better. I tell people all the time, there's absolutely nothing better than a silent Bryant Denny Stadium. It is fruit to my spirit. Yeah. But when I say that to say that in the midst of us getting our teeth kicked in, we went back to gratitude. And it was in gratitude that we won that game.
Yeah.
Because we had seniors that riddled that team. We had like 30 seniors on that team. And at the end of the day, what I remember saying was, I'm getting the opportunity to play for y'all. This is y'all's last Iron Bowl. And it was in that we came back and won.
Man, what a story. I feel like I thought I heard all the stories, but like it's just endless, man.
Good.
The games that you've been involved in and the meaning that you have found in those games and your ability to translate that as a part of your leadership is just incredible. And, I guess as we kind of wrap up, I'm standing back and I'm looking at, the last 20 minutes of this conversation, like the through line has been gratitude. And I think what's interesting is we always practice gratitude. Most of the times we practice gratitude on our own. It's a nighttime reflection. It's a journal prompt in the morning. It's, hey, make sure that on your way, when you walk home from work, you pause and you're just grateful. But like what you just heard today was 4 or 5 examples of how gratitude can be a catalyst for teams. Like be gracious with each other. Like one of the things that I just so respect about you is that you make sure that gratitude is a team sport. Like it's an
100%.
Actual lever that we can use in business and in community.
100%.
And I think that's if you take anything away from today's episode, challenge yourself to ask the question, what role does gratitude have in my leadership and amongst my team?
Yeah. And I'll say this, I literally just had this an incredible lunch, and we were talking about the difference between reoccurring revenue and recurring revenue, right? And the difference really is in intention. Right? Like reoccurring, like, yes, like there's things that continue to come up that you're going to need, talking about plumbing, right? There's going to be repairs that are needed, but like recurring is my Zoom subscription. Every single month, I have an intention to pay for this service, right? And it's in the intention that I continue to keep that going month after month after month. I don't have intention to have a plumbing leak.
Right.
But when it happens, I need to get it repaired.
Right.
That's the difference between reoccurring and recurring. What would it look like if gratitude was recurring in your life?
I love that.
That you had intention around the recurring every single day and not just once a day, right? what I'm realizing is that through this book I'm reading, The Tools by Phil Stutz, how gratitude and the flow of gratitude is a tool. And it's a tool that at any second I can stop right here before I go have this tough conversation, and I could give you 5 things that I am grateful for right now. And in those 5 things, I'm going to have a flow and a consciousness with the source, with God, with his love, that's now going to take me into that hard thing that I have to do next. Come on, man.
And what a way to start. There are no difficult conversations when you lead with gratitude.
Yeah, man. It's just the embrace.
And the Stutz book is incredible. So is the biography. If you guys ever want to check it out.
Phenomenal stuff.
You ready for a quick lightning round to close it off?
Yeah, please.
All right. What's one thing you know today as a leader that you didn't know a year ago?
Oh man, that that the future of work is going to allow us to show up with intentionality in spades. As it dissipates, the more you do it, the more it matters. Right? The small note that says thank you after a dinner with a client is going to matter more. The phone call to check in on a friend who just lost his job and buying him lunch is going to matter more. Like the authenticity and the intentionality matters more. And I think the stock is just going to continue to go up.
I love that. We know what you are reading. What are you watching or listening to today that like really has you going? And it could be anything.
Oh man. Yeah, just like, I don't know. I'm so enamored with the future of work, and, I keep reading anything that's associated with, I as we worked in early career to help athletes transition from sport, I think we continue to see that white collar jobs are drying up. And what's happening? I think that the future of work is blue and gray.
Yeah.
Right. There's a stat that says that there's $50 trillion of deferred maintenance in this country, right? AI is not going to impact, at least in our lifetime, HVAC and more of these technician jobs. And as I have these conversations with my young guys, I'm opening them up to the embrace of that, right? And I say this with all due respect of what higher education has done for us as a society, but I think that the value is going down and the price is going up.
Yeah. Yep.
So what's next? Yeah. And I think what's next is us upskilling young people to take advantage of opportunities that are available, not opportunities that we hope will be available, right? And I think there's a lot of hope. And I think the future of work is telling us that, we need to shift to the blue and gray instead of the white leading to the red, which I feel like is, just unfortunately like, a lack of opportunities for recent grads and early career people.
I love that. Last question, and maybe we'll put today's theme into practice. Let's say, we get off this live cast and in 5 minutes, you've got to walk into a room and you're going to have a bit of a tough conversation. What type of gratitude would you think about walking into the room today? Like, what are you grateful for today that you could see almost tapping into prior to a conversation that you're going to need gratitude for?
Yeah, my dad came here with $163 to his name.
Come on.
He's from a village in Nigeria that to this day still doesn't get 24 hours of electricity. My mom working 2 jobs while my dad was at a chicken processing plant was able to get a master's degree. My dad a PhD. I'm the youngest of 4 with 2 doctors, a football coach at the University of at Oklahoma State University, and I get to stand here and say that I work at Baxter Healthcare, a Fortune 500 company, and I get to stand in the Thatium office. I'm taking that with me.
Woo! Come on,
baby. Come on.
Listen, baby. I'm grateful for you, man. I really mean it. It's funny, as somebody who's been on the show multiple times, this is like a fine wine, you and I in front of this camera, like it gets better over time. And I think a big part of that is just the context and the gratitude that you and I have put at the center of this partnership, and more so our friendship and our brotherhood. So I'm so grateful for you, man. I'm grateful for what you bring our community. I'm grateful for how you represent what we are so after every day, which is more human-centered experiences. Like you embody that. We're trying to train that and enable that in organizations, you embody it.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for that.
Thank you. Yeah. And I appreciate this. This is an opportunity for me to talk about what I love. And what I love is I love you. I love community. I love leadership. And I love speaking to leaders specifically around the thought process that we were talking about today. We can start with gratitude, but the power isn't in starting, right? Our coaches never got upset with us about how we started conditioning. It was always how we finished. And if we're going to start with gratitude, we're going to finish with it. You know, so I'm thankful for men like you, that in the midst of a time when the suicide rates for men dying are rising, we have strong men like you that are leading, not with power and physique and with vain, but with true heart posture and a willingness to serve and a willingness to be vulnerable. And you stood in the gap for me. And it's an opportunity for us to share. But at the end of the day, this is a conversation we would be having in Chinatown at the dumping spot.
Without the microphones. You know?
So,
we just did that last Saturday.
At the end of the day, man, it's about reps, and it's about reps of goodness.
Come on.
And they continue to compound in a beautiful way when you continue to lean in. So I'm just thankful, man, and I appreciate you.
It's incredible. I love you, brother.
Love you
thank
too.
you so much. And thank you all for tuning into this this episode 265 of the Navigating Now Roundtable series. You can find this episode and all episodes at thoughtteam.com/live. We'll see you next Thursday at 3.
Love you all.